You made a choice today. You don't even remember it. But the math says that choice split reality in two. The version of you that chose differently, it did not disappear. It kept going in a world running parallel to this one. Right now, same second, everything is different. Here is what that means, and most people never let themselves finish this thought. If you understand what the math actually says, you can't look at a single decision the same way again. Not ever. The Pentagon understood that. They did not laugh. They did not dismiss it. They funded it. 38 classified research papers. Topics like traversable wormholes, stargates, and negative energy. That is not a Reddit thread. That's a defense intelligence document. Real letterhead, real budget, real signatures. And the man whose math started all of this, he died, dismissed, alone. 30 years later, the government was paying to find his door. So tell me, if parallel worlds are just theory, why does the government have a budget for the lock? The man who broke the world. 1957 Princeton University. A 27-year-old physicist walks into his supervisor's office. He is carrying a proof, one that changes everything. His name is Hugh Everett. What he proposes gets him laughed out of physics forever. His idea, stay with me here. When a quantum event happens, reality does not pick one outcome, it splits. Both outcomes happen in separate, parallel worlds. Every coin flip, every heartbeat, every choice you did not make, all of it branches, all of it continues somewhere. His colleagues did not debate it, they did not challenge it, they ignored it completely. The father of modern multiverse theory, dismissed like a crank. He left academia, never returned. Spent the rest of his life doing defense contracting, drinking heavily, gone at 51. Here is the part that still bothers me. His son found his father's real work after he died. The tapes, the notebooks, the proof. His own father never told him any of it. But here is where it gets strange. While academia buried Everett, the US government was quietly asking his exact question. Different uniform, same obsession. In 1972, the CIA launched a classified program. They called it Stargate. Not science fiction, not a mundane code name. A real funded investigation into whether human consciousness could access information from non-local places, other rooms, other cities. Maybe, and this is documented, other states of reality entirely. Declassified records confirm it ran for over 20 years, 1972 all the way to 1995. They were not laughing at the fringe, they were funding it quietly for 2 decades. Here is the thing that connects all of this. The math and the money were pointed at the same door. Everett used equations, the CIA used black budgets. Both were circling the same terrifying possibility that the reality we see is not the only one running. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy confirms it today. Many worlds is a leading interpretation of quantum mechanics. Not fringe, not discredited, leading. The establishment that buried Everett in 1957 secretly funded his core idea by 1972. That's not gap, that is a decision. Someone decided officially. This was worth investigating. Someone signed the budget. Nobody told the public. Not once, not ever. And here is what I could not shake. Stargate ran for 23 years and stayed buried. What is running right now that we have not found yet? Everett died thinking he had failed. He had not. The wrong room proved him right. Too late. The 38 documents. The government did not study these ones. They commissioned 38 separate research papers. 38 on one topic. The Defense Intelligence Agency paid for all of them. Between 2007 and 2012, no press release, no announcement. They called them Defense Intelligence Reference Documents. DIRDS, pronounced exactly how it sounds. Now I need you to hear the actual titles, not summaries, the real titles. Traversable wormholes, stargates, and negative energy. Warp drive, dark energy, and the manipulation of extra dimensions. Anti-gravity for aerospace applications. These are not fringe blogs. These are not anonymous leaks. They are sitting on Zenodo right now. Open access, public. You can read them tonight. No clearance needed. And here is why that matters. Most people hearing this will never look them up. If you do, you're already asking different questions than most. Dr. Eric Davis wrote one of them. Credentials from University of Arizona, real physicist. He was not asked to debunk this. He was asked to calculate whether it was buildable. Stop and think about what that means. The question was not, does this exist? The question was, how would we build one? That is a completely different assignment. You don't commission an engineering feasibility study or something you think is impossible. Someone in that building already believed, and here is the number that hit me hardest. The program behind these papers, AAWSAP, cost $22 million. That's not a rounding error. That is a line item. Someone defended that number in front of committee. Someone said out loud, this is worth funding. So what does negative energy actually mean? Forget the textbook definition. Here is the real version. Imagine a tunnel underground, perfectly stable. Now imagine the walls are made of structured nothing. A deliberate absence of matter holding the shape open. That is negative energy. The scaffolding inside a wormhole. Without it, the tunnel collapses the moment anything enters. Wait, here is what stopped me cold. Davis was not asking if wormholes exist. He was asking what it costs to keep one open. That is an engineering question, not a philosophy question. Here is where the dread locks in. The government was not funding this in isolation. They were racing. Google, IBM, MIT, all crossing into quantum territory. The same years these documents were being written, and every quantum computer built since runs on the Excel logic Everett described in 1957. Superposition, multiple states, simultaneous outcomes. Your phone's quantum chips do not simulate parallel branches. They use them. That is not a metaphor. That is operational mathematics. We built machines that depend on other worlds existing. We just never told anyone that is what we were doing. The controlled burn. Both statements came from the same building. The public one, whether balloons, misidentified aircraft, nothing to see, nothing to investigate, move along. The private one cost $22 million. Publicly, loudly, they dismissed everything. Quietly, carefully, they funded it. Same department, same years, two completely different realities. And this was not new, not even close. October 24th, 1992, the Washington Post reports it directly. Pentagon plan for an alien threat, not a conspiracy blog, not an anonymous leak, a sourced piece in one of America's most trusted papers. The Pentagon had formal strategic planning for encounters with non-human entities. Hold that timeline in your head. 1992, formal planning for anomalous threats. 1970 to 1995, Stargate funded and buried. 2007 to 2012, DIA funds 38 physics papers. 3 separate programs, 3 separate decades. Same question running underneath all of them. This is not curiosity, it is a policy. Now, here is where I have to be straight with you. There is a serious counter-argument, a real one. Sabine Hossenfelder, theoretical physicist, she argues many worlds is unfalsifiable, meaning no experiment can disprove it. In science, if you cannot test it, it is not science. She is not wrong. That is a legitimate position. I sat with that argument for a long time. But the government did not need it to be falsifiable. They needed it to be useful. Those are two completely different standards. So here is the question the DoD never answered. If many worlds is unfalsifiable, why spend $22 million on its applications? You do not fund the engineering before the science is proven, unless the proof came from somewhere else entirely. Not a journal, not a lab, somewhere the public was not watching. That is not my conclusion. That is the gap their own budget creates. Is that paranoia or just pattern recognition? I genuinely cannot decide. And neither can you. If you are being honest, then there is a UAP Disclosure Act. Real Senate legislation, real votes, real signatures. It does not open the filing cabinet. It schedules what you are allowed to see. Someone right now is deciding your timeline, not whether you find out when. They are not hiding it forever. They are managing the distance between what they know and what you are ready to hear. That has been running your entire life, and it has a name: strategic declassification. No clean exit. Here is what nobody prepares you for. You are already inside this, not as a viewer, not as someone watching from outside, physically, right now. Every quantum event firing in your body, every neuron, every photon hitting your retina is a branching event. The math does not make an exception for you. It never did. It never will. And here is the new contradiction, the one nobody in this conversation is having yet. Decoherence is the only thing separating you from other branches. It's not a wall, it is interference, noise. In 2024, Nature published the most precise decoherence measurements ever recorded. The result did not close the door on parallel worlds. They measured how thin the door already is. NASA and MIT are building quantum sensors right now. Their stated objective: detecting mismatches in the quantum vacuum. Let me say that in plain language. They are building instruments sensitive enough to notice when something nearby does not fit this version of reality. That is not my framing. That is the research objective. And I could not stop. Wait, what actually happens when one of those sensors gets a reading? What does a government do with that? Do they tell us? Or does it become the most classified documents ever signed? That question does not have a public answer, and the people who might have a private one are not talking. If many worlds is correct, and the math strongly suggests it is, somewhere in parallel branch right now, the version of you that did not make it today exists. The version that took the wrong road, made the call that destroyed everything, did not survive the thing you survived. That world is not hypothetical. It is running. Same physics, same history, one different moment, then a different everything. And here is what I keep coming back to. That version of you has no idea either. They think they are in the real world because they are. There is no version of this where only one of you is real. So here is the impossible choice. Either the government spent 50 years and hundreds of millions of dollars chasing a mathematical interpretation that cannot be tested, meaning they are incompetent, or they have evidence they have not shared. Evidence from programs we were never told about. Evidence that confirm enough to keep the budget alive. Incompetence or intent. I have sat with both for a long time. I cannot decide which one is worse. If it is incompetence, the people managing your national security spent half a century and your tax dollars chasing something unprovable. If it is intent, they found something and they looked at what they found and decided you were not ready. If you are listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't reach 1,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her these tales matter. Please subscribe and let us keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. Now 3 questions and then we are done. These are the questions I cannot answer. Nobody can. If decoherence is thinning, what is on the other side noticing first? If the government found the door Everett described, what did they find standing behind it? And the one that has not left me, in a branch where they told the truth, what did we do with it? I do not know. Maybe that version of us handled it better. Maybe they did not. Either way, they are still out there right now, carrying an answer we cannot reach, and they have no idea we are looking.